Hi guys, good evening. Please confirm you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Please confirm you can hear me. Can you guys hear me? Okay, can you hear me? Good. Good evening, guys. Good evening. It's nice to have all of us here. So we're going to actually start now. Let's give maybe some other people a few minutes to join us, a few seconds rather. Okay, you guys are welcome to the Junior Developers Level Up webinar. So today we're going to be learning a lot of things. So you guys should sit back and enjoy the ride. So before we start today's event, let's have a quick conversation on. So the first is about Kodnerds. So let's talk about what Kodnet is and why we're here. Then we'll talk about the things we're expecting to learn today. So Kodnet is a platform for it's an edited platform that is out to actually help junior developers. That's helping that is ready to actually build job ready developers through mentorship, through apprenticeship, through community building. So right now we are currently building a junior developers community. It's not the regular community you guys are into. So let me just clear that out. It's a we have actually taken a lot of time to build, to think about, to plan, where you will be paired with senior developers who have experience in different field in tech. So you're going to be paired with a senior developer that will mentor you one-on-one. So you're also going to be opportunity to be part of a team, build projects. So it's a whole lot in terms of the community that we are building currently. So today's event is to help us as junior developers, to help us learn how do we get better at being a developer. A lot of you guys are actually stuck at what you guys are doing right now. You're stuck, you're watching tutorials over and over again. It feels like you're not doing the right thing. You need some form of guidance. You're not getting a job, your portfolio is not even good enough. You're wondering what the problem might be. You don't know if it's your skill, if it's your portfolio, if it's your CV, what area is being affected. You're not sure why you're not getting a job. You're not sure if you're even growing in your skill. That is why we are here, to clarify and help you see things in a different light. I'm sure by the end of this webinar, you'll be able to learn a lot of things in terms of how to actually level up your skills. I mean, I know a lot of you just have a very basic project in your portfolio at the moment, and you guys want to be paid good amount of money for your project. How do I trust you that you can actually handle a good project? So that's where the community comes in, right? So we're going to actually introduce our first speaker soon, so that they're going to, we have two speakers in the house. They are both senior developers. That's people who have actually spent a lot of years building both local and international with international companies. So guess you guys are going to love it. If you have any questions why the event is and you can just drop it in the chat. I will go through it later. So for anyways, if you have any question, just feel free to drop in the chat and we'll go through it later, talk about it. Um, so for people who don't know me, my name is Blessing. My name is Blessing Njoko. Blessing Njoko, I'm also a software developer. So in case you're seeing me for the first time, and I'm going to be your host for today. So enjoy the ride. So the first speaker we have on the list is someone who has actually mentored a lot of people in tech. He has spent years building different infrastructure in tech, both locally for international brands and also for Nigerian companies. So he's going to be telling us how we can actually get through this junior developer cycle. How do we level up into getting better at what we do at the moment? Because I know a lot of us have problem with a lot of us have problem with either it's imposter syndrome or you just want someone to talk to. So if you have questions, just pile up your questions because this is your chance to actually ask any question you have. I don't think we might have this chance again. Who knows? I mean, we might do another one, but for now, you can have your questions down, and we're going to answer all of them as much as we can. Okay. So we are going to introduce our first speaker, who is so please, Chalo, over to you.
Hey yo, everyone, how's everybody doing? I know you can't respond, but I'm just going to assume everybody is doing well. My name is Chimzi Budu Chiordu, but you can call me Chimzi. I'm a full stack developer. I have worked across different industries. I've worked for um, in fintech space for banks. I've worked for companies in um, compliance, in like legal tech. I worked for companies in legal tech and mostly startups. And as someone who I studied chemical engineering for my first degree, so I had to transition to tech, which is something I'm sure most of you are trying to do. Um, and I'm here to say that, yeah, it's possible, right? It's possible to have a fulfilling career in tech. And it's also possible to, it's not too late, basically, right? Regardless of if you built a career in something completely different, right? There's always opportunity for you to level up and scale. Um, I'm happy to be here. I I actually enjoy teaching, right? Part-time I teach for Bloom Tech. It's a school in the US. And the problems, right, that you think are unique to your location, I promise you it's universal. Although you could argue that, I mean, location could, the scale of the problem might be different for different locations, but I can assure you that it's universal. There are lots of young developers, right, or junior devs that um, after boot camp graduation or after computer science, after graduation basically, or yeah, they struggle to find their first job. And there's the other group that are currently doing their first job, but maybe it's an internship and it's about to wrap up and they don't know what's next, or it's a job that they feel stuck at, right? They don't feel like there's opportunity for growth. Right. So today I'm going to talk to you and give some pointers on how to level up, some strategies for growth. I think I should be able to share my screen, right? Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about leveling, like show you how to level up your skills, and I'll talk to you on strategies for growth, right? As a junior developer, right? I'm going to offer a playbook that you could experiment with, right? That could move you to just building passion projects or building projects, right? To getting your first job or getting promoted. All right, now this is important. I'm sure you understand why this is important because, like I mentioned, struggle to get the first job. Um, then after getting your first job, you're shipping code, but it just feels like you're completing tasks, and you're just stuck, right? Just focus on finishing tasks. Uh, Sorry, 1 second. I need to turn off notifications. Okay, so I was saying that a lot of developers they feel stuck, right? Completing task, and then that's it, right? Or you don't feel like you feel like you're due for a promotion and you're tired of the junior label, right? So I'm going to give you some pointers to grow. Right now, at the end of this session, you should be able to map engineering work to business metrics. A lot of developers, right, are there's a tendency when you're building things to forget that there is a reason for everything. There's a business side to things, right? There's a reason for things, for everything you do, right? And if you completely ignore the business aspect, right, there might not be as much room for growth for you, right? Because currently at my company, my engineering manager, I'm not sure he writes a lot of code. I don't think he writes code as much, right? So there's a point you get to that you're more valuable understanding the business, right? Understanding simple buying and selling, simple trade, right? So the whole point of software engineering or technology is to improve reach and enhance like the solution, right? So now I'm going to provide a repeatable 6-step career playbook that you could use to grow your career or to land your first job. And I'm going to give you pointers that you could use to show impact that can be measured. Now, from code to business, right? You, I keep hammering on business, and I'm sure some of you are saying, did they bring a businessman to command? I promise you, I write code, right? I write so much code that um, you'd be surprised that I'm talking about. Maybe that's why I don't want to talk about anything technical, right? I mean, I'll mention some technical things, but that's not the focus. Today I'm going to assume that my audience is, you know what? I'm going to create a poll. How do I do that? Um, so Chinwe, can you help me with getting I want to get a feel of the audience, right? I want to see the distribution, right? Am I talking to front-end developers? Am I talking to back-end developers? Am I talking to data analysts or cloud engineers or AI engineers? So if you can help me with that, that would be lovely. Okay, while we wait for that, I'll just go on to talk about like yeah, the business aspects. So basically, when you're working in a team as a developer, full stack, front end, back end, whatever, right? You need to understand the difference between features, right, and value, right? Features are inputs, right? And the real value is what how you can relate that feature to revenue, right? Like for instance, you could ship a button, it doesn't mean much, right? Or you could ship a, let's say the button has some special UX effect or a feature basically, right? It doesn't mean as much without a direct correlation to revenue, right? So shipping a button is not the same as improving activation, right? Activation basically is a industry term, product-led growth term for the point of purchase, right? The point a customer browse a yeah customer um browsing or like browsing your features, right? The points that customer buys. For YouTube, it would be the points a customer watches or pays for premium, that's activation, right? Or watches an ad, those are like activations. Now, shipping a button is not the same as shipping a button that raises activation by 5%, or if you can get the picture I'm trying to paint, the value you provide should be beyond just products, just features, right? Do we have the poll ready? Or could we use the chat box? Is something that is possible? Give me a thumbs up if it's something that can be done. Okay, okay. Just more time, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I don't want to go ahead because I want the content of my session to be meaningful to the people listening. So I want to give case studies that will be peculiar to what makes sense. All right. Promotion skill sets, right? I said earlier that I teach part-time for a school in the US, right? And a common recurring pattern, I teach advanced computer science and some front-end web principles, right? Front-end web and advanced computer science, that's data structures, algorithms, and whatnot, right? So a recurring issue is a lot of learners, right? They go through their program and they just keep building, building, building. But there's this project. A lot of these projects are maybe not even completed, right? You start, I'm sure this is something you can relate to. You start a project and there's so much ginger, right? When you start, then before you ship it or halfway into the project, you find another thing. Hmm, this makes more sense. And you jump to it. And then you just keep jumping, jumping. And over like time, you realize that you haven't really made a lot of progress in terms of career growth. What you've managed to do is keep yourself busy so you don't lose the skill you already got, right? But you're not necessarily growing, right? And the way to grow is beyond just watching tutorials, building stuff, right? I mean, build stuff, but the way to grow is being vulnerable, right? Um, let me show you something. I want you to go up to look up React Native, their GitHub, right? Look at their GitHub.
Poll is out. I don't know if you can see it.
What's that?
The poll
Oh,
is up.
okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'll be viewing the results. Oh, majority front end dev, full stack, then some APM. All right. That's great. So I think the audience works then. So if you look at React Native or React or Visual Studio Code, right, you would see issues in thousands, right? React Native, I'm looking at the repo, it has 656 issues. Visual Studio Code, I'm sure it will have a lot more than that. But these are products that are solving problems for millions of people, right? What I'm getting at is a lot of a common pitfall, right, that you could make at this point is trying to be perfect, trying to get everything right, adding features and features and features to your project because you want it to show some level of complexity to impress recruiters or your future employers. But that is not necessarily what you want to do, right? As a junior dev, you're not necessarily going to get hired because of how technical you, because of your technical acumen, right? Believe me, I know this because I've hired a couple of juniors. You're going to be hired for grit, right? You're going to be hired for grit. You're going to be hired for product sense. You're going to be hired because you are perceived as someone that will do the work the seniors wouldn't want to do, right? So the best way to show grit is to have products finished, not complex products, products that are finished. Show that you have a strong sense of business, right? If you're looking at a particular industry, let's say fintech, right? Show that you understand domain, like you understand why users care about, like you understand why users care about the product, right? Learn fewer things deeply, right? Don't go about, I mean, front-end developer that can use Vue, React, Next, every new technology that comes out, I know how to use it, right? That's not going to get you hired, right? Learn fewer things deeply, have a strong sense of product, right? Understand data, understand how to make sense of data, right? Understand metric thinking, understand because these are things that it's easy for senior developers to overlook, right? It's easy. These are things that are considered chores, but are very beneficial to businesses, right? So ownership and communication, this is something that I so there's one guy, right? This company I was working for equally, it's a company based in Tel Aviv. I was the first Nigerian hire at the company, and after me, there were, I mean, because I felt like, now that I think about it, I think I was cheap at the time. So I think like the management decided that, oh, maybe this is something that we're sleeping on. So they started considering like hiring a lot of other Nigerians. Then I was involved with interviewing like the new hires. And one problem that I have seen, right, recall is communication. A lot of engineers don't know how to communicate, especially juniors, right? And I think it's getting worse with the use of AI. Don't get me wrong, I believe that you should integrate AI tools to make your work easier. But I also believe you should not cheat yourself out of an education, right? So while you're learning, while you're building projects, be careful not to cheat yourself out of an education. There's this engineer that mentored me, right? This guy will write out every line of code himself, right? He could look up a like a bug, right, and see the fix on Stack Overflow, and it fits in. What I would normally do is just copy and paste and maybe make a few tweaks, but he'll type out everything every single time. It used to be annoying sometimes when we pair, but looking back at it, like it makes sense because when you practice, when you do these things yourself, you remember, right? And it becomes second nature. You don't have to think about it again. So don't cheat yourself out of an education, right? And learn to communicate, right? Ownership shows in the way you handle tasks, the way you write out your pull requests, right? The way you present your pull request, the way you, I mean, you follow traditions in like companies and whatnot, and the post-release notes, right? The way you drop information, relevant information, the way you document things, right? It shows in these things, and these are ways to get yourself promoted or get yourself hired. Um, Now stability testing, right? A lot of senior engineers don't like, a lot of them don't like to write tests, right? So if you're somebody that tests and can provide some sort of stability to legacy code bases, right? Where it's easy to remove something and the system breaks. Perfect. Observability. I don't know if you've heard of Mixpanel or Segment, or I think there's a free tool, Microsoft Clarity, right? in your projects, right, you're building, make sure you add analytics, right? Add analytics, find out, oh, what at what point do people lose interest? At what point do like where do people spend time? I'm just going to drop the Clarity if you're interested. I think Clarity is open source. Um, Microsoft Clarity. It's I think an open source tool that you could use. I'm suggesting this because it's free. I think Mixpanel you'd have to pay, and I think their pricing is crazy for an individual. But yeah, this is free. I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, it's open source. Okay, you could use Clarity. It's easy to integrate in your project. Learn how to study metrics. Learn how to observe, create dashboards, right? Not code dashboards. Create dash. Learn how to like channel data to create dashboards. These are things that you could even create an entire like career path for yourself from growth engineering or growth hacking, right? Because it's something that a lot of people overlook. My current job, that's a skill that made me stand out, right? On ability to understand growth strategies, um, then domain knowledge. Obviously, this is so important. This is something that a lot of Nigerian companies, right? If they see you have domain knowledge in something, you are going to be like really hot cake, especially in fintech space, right? Payment, um, with the amount of brain drain that we're experiencing in Nigeria, Lagos especially, it's easy for like there are lots of people are leaving um their money points, OPay, AppZone, right? Because and the issue with that is when you're building projects for these companies, right? It's not just about knowing how to write code. It's more about understanding the business, understanding banking, or understanding payments, or understanding exploration and production and whatnot. So domain knowledge is always going to be very important. And I would recommend if you have a background, right, in something, don't just throw away your previous experience. Like if you have a background in accounting, right, don't don't throw that knowledge away, right? Build on it. If you have a background in anything at all, marketing, sales, build on it. Um, all right, now what I think I want to recommend a roadmap for you, right? So there is a 6 months from now. I want you all to try to develop a strong product sense, right? When I say strong product sense, I mean look out for companies that have products, companies that you would not mind working for, right? Companies you're interested in, right? Look at their products, understand why it sells, why it's doing well, and whatnot. Understand the business of the company of the product. Then you could try playing around with, understand how to run queries, of course. If you're a full stack front end, maybe not so much. But I think everybody should learn how to query. I know there are ORMs and whatnot, but some places, right? This is something that I don't think AI is very good at. And even if it were, right, you need to provide a lot of context for you to get your results querying, right? So it's important to learn SQL, right? But learn SQL, learn how to run simple queries yourself. Then PR discipline. Make your pull request, your commit messages have to make sense, right? They have to be relevant, they have to be informative. All right, these are things that you might already have. If you don't, that's still fine. You have time to work on those, but these are things that I think you should have. Now, 6 to 18 months, own a metric. If you're building a product, make sure it ships. Don't just start and abandon. Make sure it ships. And when it ships, try running it as a business. Try selling it. Try add events, right? Timeline is very practical, right? That's why I put 6 to 18 months, right? Don't try to do everything at once, right? Pick one metric to own and like monitor it. If you're working on it in a company already, it's something that you can easily do, right? If you don't have access to metrics, right, you could maybe I'm going to recommend, I'm trying to think of a possible company. Let's say you're already working for say Chowdeck, right? Um, if you're a front-end developer, you definitely have access to metrics. If you're a back-end developer, you also have access to actually you would have access to metrics, right? If you don't, it's something you can talk to your direct manager about, right? Even if it's just read access, but you should see error logs. You should be able to have access to the company's observability, right? You should run small experiments. Experiments could be things like you have a hypothesis, right? Like removing or improving the search bar for child deck, or um, allowing people to explore locations that are like maybe have an explore a featured restaurants or something. I'm just spitballing here, but try out small experiments, right, with your product, or recommend experiments to, if you're working in a company, recommend it to your um, product manager. Maybe feature flag it, right? Not maybe feature flag it, and see how it does for a few group of people, and then um, make something out from your experiment. You can report and say, oh, this is the result of this little experiment I did. Importantly, mentor others, right? If you want to grow, you should try to mentor others. You learn a lot from um, mentoring other people. You learn about, like, you realize that things are not unique. No problem really is unique, right? And it's encouraging because um, it helps the person you're mentoring, and you get a confidence boost. You get to overcome imposter syndrome and whatnot. So very important, mentor others. um, Now focus on a domain. Focus on the domain. Now the career playbook I promised: pick a product, right? Pick a stack and stick to it. Pick a stack, pick a product, stick to it. um be good at it, excel at it. Once you do that, then you can decide to keep moving. For like, it's better to move deep in one direction than wide in multiple directions, right? So pick something that really interests you, because passion actually, I know you say money is your passion. Some of you might say money is your passion, but it helps if you care about what you're doing, right? If you have an interest in what you're doing, it helps by a lot. So pick a product, learn its users, learn KPIs, understand the product like you would if you were to be the CEO of the company. Now, um, monitor changes, add in your projects, add metrics, and monitor these metrics. Activation is an example. Activation is, like I explained earlier, it's the point a customer becomes a paying customer of the business, right? It's the point the business makes money from the product. Then conversion, attribution, all those things. Attribution is basically the what you could the cost, or what you could say can take credits for the activation. Let's say I ran LinkedIn ads, and as a result, I had 5 signups on LinkedIn. That is an activation that is attributed to LinkedIn. All right, so you could monitor those things, and when you make changes to your app or whatever you're working on, map each change to a metric. Now, ship small experiments. Try to keep experimenting, right? Then have a dashboard, right? Use Clarity, use Mixpanel, your only dashboard, right? If you're into cloud engineering, you could use Grafana, just play around with observability logs and whatnot. Now, communicate impact, practice communication, even though you're working on a project and it's just you, right? Make sure your commit messages are clear. Make sure you have a proper flow, Git flow that could like mimic something you'd see working for a company, right? You don't just commit to master or main and push like that. Like have development branches, have feature branches and whatnot. And when you make pull request, make sure that your description, right, for the pull request is informative. And lastly, invest in leverage skills, right? Invest in skills like products, SQL, testing skills, growth engineering. Products growth is, I believe that if I were a junior starting out right now, that's something that I wouldn't sleep on, right? Growth engineering. Because there are lots of companies, right? And there are lots of skilled engineers. But and I mean with AI tools and whatnot, it's easier to have smaller teams, right? So what makes you stand out? What you can offer that um that the company can't get, right? Is experimentation, curiosity, ideas. I have this idea, I'm able to test it out, and this is the result. And because I have tested similar products, right, in a similar industry, I can hypothesize off the bat that this feature or this change will produce this result. And it's so much faster. You come in as a junior, but you've earned your right to be in any meeting room you find yourself or in the company, right? Now, what hiring managers are looking for as a hiring manager, right? I would want someone to have a consistent, clear story. I don't want someone that does it all, right? I want someone that has proven to do one thing well and can learn something else quickly, right? Um, um, before before my first job, I mean, I've been doing gigs here and there, struggling to get like a full-time role. My first full-time role was in C Sharp. At the time, I didn't know anything about. I didn't know jack about C Sharp. I had to learn on this on the job. But the reason I got hired was because I was able to prove competence in what I was able to do. Right. So if you're able to prove competence, understand, because a lot of these principles you learn by going deep in one thing, they're transferable, right? It's if you begin to see patterns, the more you go deep in one direction, right? So and it's easy to transfer these patterns and these learnings into other things. So I want someone that has proven record of being really good at one thing, right? So to do that, you need clear impact stories, right? You need to um, show your metric, right? If you're talking about a product, it should, or your project, it shouldn't be a project. You should phrase it like a business, right? And you should, with all businesses, you should be concerned about impact. Impact in terms of revenue. Revenue or sales is a clear way to measure impact. If it's a product that you're not selling, if it's a product that has other values or other impacts, you could say, you could use reach, you could use visits, you could use metrics that make sense, right? So you could talk about your metric, your approach, and your results. You should also show a sense of ownership, right? Be curious. Don't act like, I mean, if you own a business, you wouldn't want an employee that does not take initiative, right? You want someone that you don't have to tell them everything because they are proactive and they just get things done, right? So show ownership. Um, if you're already working in a company, you should, if you're in cloud engineering, if you're a backend engineer, ask to have access to the observability dashboard, right? Ask to be involved in monitoring, right? Because these things help you to learn quickly. Like put yourself in positions that are not convenient, right? You learn faster that way, right? You may not know, but you may look stupid. Don't be afraid to look stupid. Everybody did at some point. Ask stupid questions, but not stupid and lazy, right? When I say stupid and lazy, is there are people that want to be fed everything, right? So they always keep asking stupid questions. But if you ask stupid questions once in like now, if you ask a question that is considered stupid now, um, but the next time you're asking a question relating to that, I can see that between last time and now there has been some growth because you put in some work on your part. That is very good, right? But if you're just waiting to be fed everything, that is a no-no, right? But ask a lot of questions. Don't be afraid to fail. Fail fast, right? One there was a blunder I made early in my career, a very big blunder that cost the company I was working for. You know what? Let me just talk about it, right? And it also goes down. I think I'll talk about it after talking about the experimentation mindset. So have an experimentation mindset, like fail quickly, iterate quickly, learn quickly. So the blunder I was talking about earlier, there was a feature I needed to implement. One I didn't need to implement. Okay, I was working with Quali AI. They do what's it called now? They do compliance, right, for WCAG, right, web accessibility guidelines. They help businesses, companies, and applications be compliant. So um, I started working there, and I got promoted a little bit very quickly, and I felt, I mean, and that was because I was experimenting, I was suggesting features, I helped with the growth, right? The PLG introduced some events and some monitoring, right? And there was this experimentation that I suggested. There was this feature I suggested, right? Using Google's image recognition to help with um, alt text for images and videos, right? Now, this is supposedly like on paper is a good idea because um, when you have pictures, right, WCG, the guideline for pictures on your website or your mobile app is they should have all text for screen readers to describe the image to visually impaired people. Now, I mean, it was a good idea, but there was a concern of cost, right? Google Image Recognition API is expensive. So for every image that doesn't have an alt text on our customer's website or app, we would need to use Google Image Recognition, call the API, and get. So what I did was I recommended caching it, right? I was excited then. I built the caching system. I was so happy. Like I was happy. Yes, I'm working hard. My idea is going to get shipped to production. Everybody was happy with it. We tested and there we feature flagged it, tested it was good. And now time to ship. We shipped. I went to sleep. It was around like 4. I went to sleep, woke up by I think 7 or 8 to calls from my boss, calls from everybody. I was stressed. You can imagine how stressed I was. Long story short, we had piled up a bill of close to 50K USD from Google. Yes, so the what caused that was I didn't factor companies with dynamic images. So there are websites and apps that have ads on them. There are websites, apps that have images that keep changing, right? So these caching doesn't help, right? So you need to keep calling the API repeatedly for those. And it was something that I didn't think about. So when you're experimenting, right, don't do things on your own. Ask questions, right? I feel like what offered me a little bit of safety net for that incident was I wasn't alone. It was there was a lot of communication, right? I mean, it was my idea, it was my implementation, but I couldn't take the fall for it alone because everybody like was carried along with the discussion, right? There was proper communication. I mean, did I have sleepless nights that night? I didn't sleep, but I survived it because communication. And one thing I learned from that is while you're experimenting, you want to think about edge cases. You want to go back. That's why companies recommend data structures, algorithms, because it forces you to think about edge cases. Writing tests forces you to think about edge cases. If I had thought about that edge case, if I had tested better, it could have been prevented from miles away. Now, communication, concise PRs. I've said this a lot of times because maybe it's something that is personal to me. Communicate properly. All right, guys. I will be taking questions. Let me know if you have any for me.
Wow, thank you so much. If you have any question for our speaker, please drop it in the chat so that I can address it. Okay, that was it. That was a nice one. I hope you guys have learned a lot of things. Communicate a lot. It's very important that you communicate in the job. As you can see, if you don't communicate, what happens? You're going to cost your company millions of dollars and they might jail you. You escaped it doesn't mean you escape yours. I mean, was able to escape it because of right. Other company will send you to jail. I'm not capping right now for real. So whenever you want to jump on a code, you want to implement a particular feature, don't just jump at it. Ensure to communicate with the right people on the team. So learning a technical skill is one thing. Learning soft skill is another thing. It's very important. So soft skill allows you to communicate and interact better in your team. If you don't have communication skill, go and start building that. I know of someone that recently got laid off of a job that because he lacked basic communication, he lacked communication. He just didn't know how to work in a team. Doesn't know how to communicate. He lacked the right behavior. Let him go. But he had its technical skill. So the technical skill is not completely enough. It's I mean to get it to the door, but what keeps you the skill. So ensure to have that. We don't have any question in the chat, so we'll have to take a break. Thank you so much, our speaker, for this amazing session that you gave to us. We have really learned a lot, and I'm sure you guys have learned a lot. So I have learned a lot. So I'm sure you guys have learned a lot also. So we're going to take a quick break to network. So this is time for us to network. Please drop your LinkedIn profile link, drop it in the chat so you guys can introduce yourself, have know each other, drop your name, your LinkedIn profile link so you can connect with each other now. Let's do that quickly. This is not where you come and do introvert, so please. There's no introverts in here. Kindly network with each other. You never can tell who has the next job that you care for. Let's do that quickly. Drop your if you can you guys comment? Chats. Drop your LinkedIn profile. While you guys are doing that, let's talk about what we have in stock. Just a few things that we have in stock before we call up our next speaker. So at the moment, we have a very
I can
do you want
see
to say
some, yeah, I can see some
something?
questions on the Q&A section. I also saw someone raise their hand. I don't know if this platform allows people to talk.
Okay, okay. Please, I'm not sure if it does. If you raise your hand earlier, can you raise it again so that we can take your question? If you had your hand raised earlier, kindly do that again so we can address that. Okay, someone said they have a lot of questions that are bothering them. Or things. Okay. Another person said what? So I'm going to be reading out the question and we'll take few of them and get back and then take the rest later. Someone said, how does one secure a job with just JavaScript and CSS as a beginner? How do one navigate with JavaScript framework and libraries? Please take up that one.
Okay, so you want to secure a job with JavaScript and CSS? You can. I promise you, you can, right? And I'm not saying that to make you happy, right? I'm saying that because I honestly believe it. What I recommend is learning TypeScript, right? Because that is something that just gives you an advantage, right? Learn TypeScript. You don't need to learn React, but it could help, right? If you're looking to do front-end web. But with just JavaScript, what I would recommend is looking at opportunities as a growth engineer, right? As a growth engineer, if you can read code and understand, you can navigate code bases, see where um what is responsible for rendering what components of your app, right? You're good, right? All you need to do is just be in charge of growth experiments, right? You will need to what's it called now? You need to add triggers for events, like listen for events. Um, I think those are very easy to do, right? Most of the companies that provide these software segments, right, they allow you to easily send signals, right? Segments, mixed panel, um, even Google, right? Google has Google Analytics, right? It allows you, you could easily do that, and you don't need to like be so technical, right? Your value now would be in understanding products, right? Understanding growth, understanding what metrics to look out for. Basically, you not be so much of you would be a developer, right? You'd be technical, but you are also a salesperson, right? You're looking at selling the software, making the software sell itself,
Yeah.
right? Experiments to make software sell. All right. Next question.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to add to it quickly add to what our speaker said. So if you want to end with just CSS and JavaScript, there is a way, just like it might not be the conventional way. It might not be you getting a job per se, but you can actually static websites for people who needs it. So you need to start by advertising yourself, telling people that you actually build websites. You can also build templates for platforms like Team Forest, yeah, Team Forest and the likes of them. You can build templates with your JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. You can do that as a beginner, so that could probably help you get better at it. Then, if you want to pick a framework, navigating framework libraries, you need to pick the one that just make your research and check for the one that people are current, the one that is most popular or people are seeking for rather. Not really popular per se, but the one that people are the one that they have more jobs out there for. I mean, React is when it comes to front end, React is like the most popular. React Next.js, but you have Angular and the rest likes of them, so you can actually make your research and pick one of it and start learning, and then go from there. Well, we are here for you. You're going to be part of the community, so you get to explore as much as you want to. We're going to take another question. Can you guys see the other chats in the Q&A, or am I the only one seeing the chats? I'm asking people on in the attendee. Can you guys see the questions in the Q&A? Okay.
Godspower has a question. I'm going to read it out. I'm a React developer that has been on and off with coding because of school. Just graduated and planning to
For
lock in.
everyone. Godspower, can you hear me? Well, you know what? Let's respond to this later on. We're going to call on the next speaker. We're going to respond to this particular question before the end of the webinar. Okay, just we have a lot. We need to unpack this particular question. Okay. What else? Okay, you raise your hand just to get attention. Okay, that's fine. Someone learning front. So someone said, as someone learning front end developments and still trying to master the basic skill, how can I start working on product sense observability? Okay, Chimsy, please can you take up that one? Let's just a quick one. Did you get the question?
Yes, yes. So someone
Just
learning
confirm that
front
you got it.
end.
Chimsy, are you there?
Yes.
I'm not sure if speaker is there. So
I can hear
okay.
you.
I think
Can
he's
you
back.
can you hear me?
Chimsy, did you get the question?
Yes, I did.
Are you there? So while we're waiting for him to come up, we have we have something planned out for everyone. We can see that there's a lot of concern in terms of advancing your skill, in terms of building projects. So we have a
Okay, you all
community
can
that
hear
we're
me.
currently
Okay,
growing called
great.
Kodnerds community.
All
So the
right, I'm
purpose
just
of
going
the
to go ahead.
community
I
is
think I
to
was
help
concerned
junior
for a minute that
developers
was my
like you
network. Um,
grow by
I'm just
building
going to go ahead and
products.
answer the
Now,
question.
please, if you're
Someone
not
learning front-end
serious, do
development
not.
and still trying to master the
I am very
basic
serious
skills.
about this. If you're
How
not
can
going
I
to be
start
serious,
working on
please don't be
product
part of the
sense
community because
observability?
we don't really want people
So
that will drag every
the
other
easy
person
way
back.
is to be a fan,
So we only want people who
right?
are ready to grow,
If you're
who are
looking
ready
to
to
work,
advance in their
pick
current
an
skill.
industry, right? Pick
Front
something that
end, back
interests
end,
you.
whatever skill you
Pick
have
a
right now, you're ready to actually grow with other people in the
product that's
community.
or
You're
a
ready
company
to
that
be a
you.
part of a team and be serious about whatever tasks
Oh
you're
wow.
given. You're going to be paired with a mentor. So every group, every team, you're going to be paired with a mentor. You're going to take up challenges. So if it's not something you want, don't join. If it's something you can do, I'm going to be pasting the link in the chat so you can pick it up and join. So this is something we've planned out to help a lot of you who have different challenges in terms of leveling up your current skill. Like I see somebody saying if they want to go back to YouTube, well, you're in the right place because you're going to get the opportunity to actually learn from a mentor, ask your question directly to your mentor. We have a lot of mentors waiting for you guys to come on board. So of senior developers who have worked in different organizations, so they know what they're doing. They have the hands-on experience. Even if you don't as a junior developer, you've not built a real life project before, that's fine. That's why we're here. So you're going to be given the opportunity to be able to work on serious projects, not just your to-do list that you do, or that static site that you do, or those, those sites now, those the landing page. That's not what you're going to be doing in the community. You're going to be working on actual products, dashboards, product that can be used by someone else, e-commerce product that can actually people can go there and shop, not me projects. So if this is what you are interested in, sit back because we got you actually. So I'm going to be pasting the link in the chat soon so you get to um, join the community. As I said, if it's something you're not interested in, it's okay. It's not, we don't want everybody actually. We want a very small circle so we can know each other one-on-one and we'll get things done better. So if you are out of it, it's fine. But if this is what you want to do, you're welcome. You're welcome, and we're going to um let you. We're going to Chimsy. I cannot hear you if you're speaking. I'm seeing what you're saying. We can't hear you. If you're trying to say something, we cannot hear you. So I'm going to paste the link to the Slack channel in the chat so you can join. And while you're there, please engage, and all the instructions about you being a part of a team is going to be communicated to you there. So we're going to call on our second speaker. So this is someone who has knowledge in mobile development. He's expert in mobile development. He has worked in different companies. He knows system architecture, coding, in fact, name it. So the speakers that we have here are not just, they have all the things you need. So make sure you ask your question though. After now, no more. Ask your question. But that's by the way. So you're going to call on Christian. Christian, please take the stage and tell us how we can actually level up as junior developers. Thank you. Okay, while we're waiting for our speaker to come up, let's quickly address one more question.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay. Okay, question is coming up.
Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? If you can hear me in the chat, please please just give me a thumbs up or a 1 if you can hear me.
What an IM manager wants. Is that a question?
Okay, Henry, you can hear me. Please, any other person, just give me a thumbs up or a 1 so I know I can call
and
and
answer.
attention. Okay, you can still hear me. Okay, let's just hold on. Let the
okay, someone said as a front end, as someone Christian, if you're speaking, I can't hear you. Can you guys hear him? Or am I the only one that can hear him?
Let me give Blessing a call.
Can you guys hear Christian? Why can't I hear him? Am I the only one that can't hear people right now? If you guys can hear him, that's fine. You can hear him, right?
You guys, can you hear? Please, I need people to type in the chat. Just put 111 if you can still hear me.
So I'm going to stop talking now so he can speak. But I can't hear him actually. Christian, I cannot hear you. Just in case you're saying something, I cannot hear you.
Okay, no problem. I can hear myself. And please, if you can still hear me, please type 1 in the chat. 1111111. Okay, so it's not my network, or it's my network partially. I'm not sure. I want to be sure I'm not speaking to myself. Please, I can only see Henry. I can't see. Okay, Henry typed 1. Who else again? Who else? Zili,
I guess I'm the one that cannot hear him. So
Zili Kalio and Henry that can hear me. Please, I need more. Okay, I can hear you. Gospel says I can hear you on mobile dev speaker. Okay, I just hope I'm not speaking to myself. All right, good day, everyone. So apologies, I will not be able to turn on my camera. I don't know, the reception is really, really poor. But let me just see if I can just briefly show my face. Yeah, so this is what I look like. Sorry, it's a bit dark. Um, if you can see me, just give me a thumbs up.
Can you guys still hear him?
Okay.
Okay, I
So
think Christian
I'll just
just
turn off
joined back.
the video now.
What's
Okay.
happening? I can't hear him. Oh no, I want to hear
Let me.
him.
Oh, bless you.
Guys. Okay, so Isaac say he can hear you. That's fine. Please, Christian, go ahead and speak to them. I cannot hear you, but it's okay. You can speak to them. Let's have it.
All right. I think maybe we should just start. Hopefully, you guys can hear me and everything I'm about to say. So good evening, everyone. My name is Christian. When you see, I'm a mobile developer. I also do a little bit of teaching and mentoring. So if you can hear me, just type teaching and mentoring, right? Just type that. I can see that in the chat, and I know that okay, everybody's following. Okay, so um, okay, so I'm just going to do something. I'm just going to narrate my story, right? And I just believe that everyone or whoever can empathize will be able to pick lessons from it, and then we'll be able to learn something new or remember something that's been taught to him or something you've learned about in the past, right? So that's what I'll be doing, right? So I won't take much of the time. Okay, teaching and mentoring, nice. Thank you, everyone. All right. So I didn't prepare any slides. It's just going to be a conversation. I'm just going to be taking us through some things that I did to get to where I am today. Some things that you should watch out for. I think my topic is really about mistakes mistakes to avoid as a junior developer. I don't really like the word junior developer because it's just like you're scoping them, but it's fine. It's fine, right? So let me just go through a background. My name is Christian. I'm a mobile engineer. I primarily write Flutter. I can also write Kotlin for Android native. I studied computer engineering at Yaba College of Technology, where I graduated with distinction in HND, right? So academically, I'm sound, right? The reason why I'm highlighting this is because I want to tell a story. So just please bear with me and follow me, right? So that is on the academic side. Now, on the career side of things, my very first job was to be a primary school teacher, right? So if you're following, if you're following, just write primary school, primary school. Let me be sure that everyone is following at this point. Yes, yes, please. Let me just wait for like a second. If you're following, please just type primary school, primary school. Nice. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, Isaac. All right. So my very first job was a primary school teacher where I had to basically teach little kids ABC 1, 2, 3, you name it, right? So from my very first what's it called job, I was already like teaching and mentoring in a form, right? And at the same time, remember I'm also a computer engineering graduate, so I already had some basics in programming. And not surprising, my next job was also teaching, but this time I wasn't teaching 1 2 3 ABC. I was teaching how to code, right? I have this establishment near my house. It's a coding school. So as per convenience and part of what I wanted to do, I just went ahead to start teaching. I met the guy. I said, okay, I can teach, and also I have coding experience. Something I learned in school. So he just said, okay, no, voila, let's test run it, and he was okay with that, right? So right from the beginning, I've been teaching and mentoring, and so my very next job was also teaching as well, but also it combined everything from all I did teaching kids. Sorry, I'm getting a feedback. I don't know where that's coming from. If anybody is unmuted, please mute. I don't know. It's a bit disturbing. Okay. All right, so I'll just continue. So my next job combined everything together, teaching kids, coding, and actual teaching. So my next job was at Center for Tech, where I basically taught kids from 9 to 17 how to code, that's build mobile apps, Android native to be specific, right? And all of these are journeys that marks different milestones in my life, right? So just follow me, please. I'm getting to somewhere. So one of the things, most satisfying things I've experienced so far was after like a year after I left that establishment, I met a student of mine that is basically a mobile developer now, right? So I could basically understand how our teachers feel when they see us do well, right? I was so proud. I was so proud that my shoulders were up. Right. So that was a really, really emotional moment for me because it meant that everything I had made impact, right? And that is something you should seek out to do, no matter what it is you're doing, front end, back end, cloud ops, DevOps, whatever, right? Seek to make impact, right? And that's my very first lesson to you, right? Now, that is on the career side. What about the growth side? So if you're still with me, just type growth in the chat, type growth in the chat before I proceed to the next thing I want. So if you have a pen and biros and you want to jot something, please take them out because, like I said, there's no slide, there's nothing. It's straight from my heart, straight from my head, and I wouldn't want you to miss anything. So if you're still with me, type growth. Thank you, Henry. Right. I think I should give Henry a gift. He's always the first person to respond. Right. I like that. I like that. I like the energy. Nice. Thank you so much, Isaac. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So on the growth side of things, remember I started out programming from my discipline and computer engineering. Then I went ahead to teach kids. Right while in school, I had done a bit of things because I knew that coding was perceived as very hard. In fact, of all my colleagues, of all my mates in my set in school, I think I was one of the few people that actually pursued programming and coding as a career. Like where out of 100%, like let's say 10% of us actually pursued coding as a career path, right? Because right from there, we're introduced to C++. Everybody said it was hard, but I wanted to basically learn in a way that it wasn't going to be hard for me. So what did I do? I reached out to my mentor, my predecessors, right? Those guys that were ahead of a class ahead of me, and I told them, okay, how did you learn this thing? I know that some of you are already good at this. How did you learn, right? And they said they learned by watching a particular tutorial video. I said, give me everything, right? So my very first coding experience was not on a laptop; it was on a mobile phone, right? I didn't have access to a laptop at that time, so I was just coding on my mobile phone. So please pay attention, jot things, anything you can, any remma you get from me, just write it is your own, just catch it like that, right? I'm just sharing this story so that you can actually draw some insights. I'm telling you that I'm not so different from you guys, right? Everything or most of the things or some things you pass through, every other person may have passed through it at one point in time. You're in school, you're also trying to manage coding, a career, and all of that. So while in school again, I also was a part of ALX. I don't know how many of you know ALX. It's a software development bootcamp stroke, whatever. I don't know. It's really big now, right? So, and it was supposed to be a course for 1 year. I tried. I felt like, oh, since I already know some basics in programming, this will be a good step for me. Mind you, I was still in school, right? So it was very, very difficult for me to actually cope at first, but I learned a lot, right? And that speaks to actually taking up challenges, right? I think most of this career is not just about the code, it's about you as a person. What kind of person are you? Like the first speaker said, you need grit. You need to be a certain kind of person. You need to be somebody that never gives up. You need to be somebody that is innovative, that is always thinking, how can I improve myself? How can I better myself? Right? The truth is that most senior developers do not have a time for junior devs to basically mentor them, right? So you basically need to answer questions yourself. You need to basically research stuff, right? You need to grow. You need to seek to grow. You need to expand your mind. You need to be hungry, right? You need to be very thirsty for knowledge, right? You need you just have to force your way in, right? You need to do everything you can to just grow, right? And while growing, I will share some things that I did, but still story time. I've also been a product of other boot camps. For example, I learned mobile development under Zuri, the basics. Zuri, I don't know if anybody knows Zuri, right? If you know Zuri, just type one in the chat. Type one in the chat. Um, okay, you guys are too busy. Oh, okay. Someone is Henry is actually affirming what I said. Yes. So senior developers are too busy. I think that's what you're saying, Henry. So if you know Zuri, just type one in the chat. Type one in the chat. You know Zuri, you've heard of Zuri. Oh, okay, nice. Thank you, Henry. Thank you. Henry. Oh, I'm going to give you a present. I don't know. I feel like spraying you money right now. You're really, really giving me the energy I need. All right. So yeah, I learned mobile development under Zuri. That was my very first major programming software development experience, right? And God's power, thank you very much. I see that chat. Yeah, I know Zuri. Nice. Right. So that's how I learned too, right? So I also joined boot camps. Mind you, I was still in school. Right? So apart from Zuri, after you do Zuri, there's also HNG. So as at that time, it was HNG 8, I think 2021 or so, right? So immediately after Zuri, I also went ahead to do HNG 8 as per internship. It was there I got to know that the little I know is really, really less than 0%, because guys they men mount seriously, like the skill gap was very obvious. I just started learning, and these are guys that have been into it 1 year. They could basically refactor all our code bases, all the jargons we're writing. They could basically take all the mess and turn into something more organized. They can turn chaos to organization, right? And that was something I looked at and I admired and I wanted to be like, right? And I always seek that, because the truth is that nobody has the time. When you send somebody a chat message that, please, how do you do the person in his in the well-meaning in his heart, he wants to actually respond to you, but he has fires to put out, right? His manager is calling him, where's that PR? I've not seen that PR. What's that update? So it's not it's not a you problem, it's a us problem, right? Because we are so busy, like Henry has said. There's so many things going on, right? So you have to find the answers yourself as much as possible, and that means learning from what they do. Not everybody will speak to you, but how does this person act? What are the actions, right? So learn from the actions, right? How do senior developers say they do stuff? Try it out yourself, experiment, right? So those are some of the things that you should be doing because junior dev, senior dev, AI is already blowing the lines, but it's all about how you think that actually differentiates a junior dev from a senior dev, right? Or in this context, right? A senior dev always thinks systems. How do things work together to give you what you need? What do I need to do? What are the phases I need to go through in order to deliver this product? That's how a senior thinks. It thinks holistically. While a junior will be like, give me this work, let me just know this is the task I'm doing, let me just deliver it and go. Right? You need to grow into an ecosystem. You need to start thinking ecosystem, how things work together, how API call the app logic, how app logic calls database, what are the issues, what are the optimizations that can be done to make things work faster, right? If you're still with me, please just type number two. I'm sorry I'm doing this. Number two, I just want to make sure that I'm carrying everyone along. Number two in the chat. I hope I'll see Henry at this time. Thank you, Isaac. Okay, thank you, Henry. Like Henry, like nice. Blessing. I also see you as well. Nice. Okay, so at least I'm communicating, right? So that leads me to failures, right? So I remember I said I did HNG 8. I also did ALX. I actually dropped out, right? I didn't complete all of those programs. And the reason why was the same reason why you're asking, how do I balance being a front-end developer and being a student, right? It's because I was a student. I just did not have time. There was no helping it, right? Because your school is like your first wife, very demanding. Like, you guys do well because your parents sent you to school to go and learn. You don't want money to burn, right? You don't want to tell them stories that it was because you were pursuing a career in tech. That's why your grades were failing. That you would lose out in both ends. You lose out in career and you also lose out in your grade because you only pass through those things once, right? Except maybe you go to another school. So as much as possible, face your education. That's the primary reason why you're there, right? So face your education, but also do not lose touch with what's going on in the tech world, things that you need to learn, right? As much as possible. If it's module by module, you need to learn something, consume it little by little. Then when I have a bit of time, I just bring out my laptop. But that's eventually when I got a laptop. I then bring out my laptop. I just do small things. I did not understand everything I was doing, but I was just trying to basically force myself to do those things because they are hard, right? They are difficult. It's difficult for you to concentrate. Your lecturers are basically after you and your grades, and you still need to build your career, but you have to be gritty, right? And that's one of the things I also learned from ALX, right? Because I did ALX for a while. I'm also looking at the time. I don't want to talk too much, right? So I did ALX for a while, and the key thing I learned was to be very, very tough on myself, not to be to run myself to the ground, but to actually have high expectations for myself that I need to show up, I need to do these things, I need to deliver on these things, right? It's very difficult. I'm a lazy person by nature, very lazy. But because I knew where I needed to be at, I knew the journey ahead of me was not going to be easy. So I had to put in the work, right? You just need to show up. You just need to put in the work, one brick at a time, brick by brick. Build your town, brick by brick. Somebody type in the chat, brick by brick, brick by brick. Okay, I hope I'll see that. Okay, so I'll just proceed. I hope I'll see that brick by brick. Okay, so I already dropped out HNG 8, but later down the line, very good. Thank you, Isaac, Henry, you guys, divine. Wow, you guys, much love, much love. Thank you so much. Right. So one other thing that I did later down the line, after gaining a bit of experience, I was out of school, built some products. Then I went back. I went back to HNG. I was telling somebody today that after I dropped out, I went back for HNG 11, which was last year, and I made it to the finals this time. Right, I even led a small set of team and some features. I was a feature lead, right? So as at that time, I had grown. It was a bit of there was a bit of growth there, right? So I always felt like I had unfinished business with HNG, right? That's why I went back, and that actually basically gave me the confidence, a confidence boost. Some of these things around imposter syndrome is all about, it's not about your skill, it's about the emotional part of you, right? You think you're good enough, right? If you don't think you're good enough, you need to do things that affirm that you're good enough. Join hackathons, join challenges, try things out, join groups, contribute to conversations. Those are things that you are not even contributing for the other person. They affirm to you that you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. They are building you as well, right? So you have to like do things that will make you confident, right? That you can speak anywhere and say, okay, I do know this thing because I've actually contributed one way or the other to conversations. I've contributed to hackathons. I've done so. That leads me to my next point. Do not build alone, right? There's so much value to be had when you build in a team, right? You can build in a team of mobile developers or front-end developers, but I think it makes more sense if you build as, say, okay, you have a product designer, you have a business analyst, data analyst, back-end developer, front-end developer, to build a product. Just like my first speaker said, like when you're building a product, I'm not a fan of building alone because it can be stressful. You can easily get burnt out, right? So build with a team, right? Don't build alone, because nobody is meant to be alone. Once you're alone, the energy is low. Once your passion burns out, there's nothing driving you again, right? But when you build in a team, the expectations from you, those things will push you to actually deliver, right? So that is another point. I hope you noted that down. So one other thing you need to do is that you need to learn best practices. Somebody type in the chat best practices. Type in the chat best practices. Learn best practices, no matter the field you are. And by the way, I have also knowledge of cloud, a bit of it. AWS to be specific. That's why Blessing was saying I do solutions architecture. So I basically, on my current job, I help companies to architect their solutions on the cloud, AWS to be specific, right? So I'm actually speaking to everyone here because I can see someone saying in the chat that cloud engineering was not included, but it was in the option for registration. That is Dotun. Dotun actually said that. So I'm actually talking to everyone, no matter the stack you're actually learning or practicing. Learn best practices, right? Because those are the things that set you apart. You know what to do and what not to do. I've not actually built a lot of products, but there's no product I can't build. I can't build, right? Because there are things in my stack, there are things you should do, how you should handle your states, how you should call APIs, the best practices for caching and everything. So once you understand the best practices that surround your core technology, you would basically already set yourself apart. By the time they're asking you questions, you answer based on best practices, and you also practice them as well. So it's not like you are just reading the Bible and you're not practicing, right? You're reading and you are practicing. One of the things I did when I started early on in Flutter was to learn that as a language and understand it to the core, right? Like my first speaker said, go in depth, understand what is this thing core about. And one thing I should just say at this point, don't be bothered about AI. Don't be bothered about anything that is going on, right? All the noise, everybody's pushing their own PR. Don't be bothered about that. You are not even at the level where you should be bothered about AI because you are still learning, you're still growing, right? So what you should do is to learn the core basics, learn the best practices, let the engineering behind what it is that you're trying to do, be it front end React. Learn the reason why they had to build React. Learn the reason why they had to do Next.js. Because by the time when you are interviewing or when you're being interviewed, it's not always about the technical jargons you are throwing. It's about your thinking process. Do you know the reason why you do your things? Do you just code? Are you a coder or you're a software engineer? Do you understand the engineering principles behind what you're doing? Right? So you have to make sure that you understand it in depth, right? All these things are not easy, but it's things that you need to do because senior, junior, there are some senior, in fact, senior past senior. Let me just tell you at this point, there are some seniors that in the years that they have so many years of experience, but the amount of projects they've done, that they've not been allowed to experiment a lot. They are working in a sector that is heavily regulated. This is how they need to do things from A to B, from point A to point B to point C. There's a manual for everything, right? And you have some people that you call them junior, but the level of shaggy they've seen, right? The level of products they've been able to build in just 1 year will wow you, right? So senior, junior, I don't really care, right? If you actually follow these tips, like learn the core basics, learn best practices, right? Understand the way senior developers think, I think you're already setting yourself up for a very good career. Because whenever you're having a conversation with a technical mentor or a technical interviewer, you're speaking based on knowledge and they're speaking based on practice, right? So I don't know what to take much time. I've already talked about some things. I hope you're able to note them down. Some other things I also wrote down here is to read documentations. For the stuff you are learning or practicing, read the documentations, understand the reason why things are done the way they are done, right? Because not every time, it's not every time, best practices are there for a reason, but it's not every time you follow them, because your from app to app use cases may differ and you may need to basically do things a bit more differently. So when you understand the why, you can know how to do things a bit more differently and still follow, be in line with the general best practices, right? If you're still with me, please type 3, type 3, type 3, type 3. Please type 3. Robert, I see you. Nice one, nice one. I like the energy. Please type 3. If you're still with me, type 3. I promise not to take more time. I've basically spoken so much already, right? So, one other thing, I've already said this already, but I will reiterate because this thing affected me. Network, my people. Don't build in silos. Network with people. Come out for events. I'm just coming from an event, Oscar Fest. I don't know how many of you guys were there today. If you were there, sorry, I missed you, or you were there yesterday. I was there yesterday and I was there today, right? It was because of today's appointment. I had to rush down to make sure I was here early to actually attend, right? And I met a lot of amazing people. My mind was blown with the amount of conversations, the amount of useful things, right? And that also will help your boldness, because when you look at somebody as big, this guy is a co-founder, and you're looking at yourself, I'm just a junior developer. When you actually build your confidence and you're able to talk to them, you see that like they're just regular people. When you actually, this is one thing that networking helps you do. When you network with a lot of top Gs, or even if they're not top Gs, but they're people that are in your field or in a cross field or a related field to what you do, you never can tell where you meet them. Imagine you meet them in an interview. They are supposed to interview you. You're already in because you've had conversations with them, and you're basically they already are aware of you. Because here's what happens when applications are put out. They put out applications for front-end developer. 1,000 people just apply. The HR is already having headache. He does not know who is who, because most of these HRs, except they have the experience, they do not really know what they are to look out for, right? They only try to screen, shortlist until they can get the engineering manager or the lead to basically come and review or do interviews for you guys, right? That's what happens, right? So it's not every time that it's a you problem. It's just the way the system is. Maybe you might need to optimize your CV so you can get in the door, right? But imagine you got shortlisted for interview and you've already had a conversation. Maybe you went to Oscar Fest and you've already had a conversation with this particular person, and maybe you turn on your camera and like, I know this person. In fact, you already set the tone for a very good interview experience because you already had conversations with this particular person. So I'm emphasizing always network. Always go for events. If you cannot if you cannot afford the ticket, always try to see if you can get free tickets. I would say it's right off the bat. I'm not ashamed of it. My Oscar Fest tickets for yesterday and today was free, right? I was on the in fact, I wasn't on the lookout. I was just determined I was going to go. And I just saw somebody's link. Is it a Twitter post that I'm giving away 20 tickets to lucky people. I'll just make sure I kept my eye on that thread. And the next thing the guy said, just send me a DM. And I just went to his DM. Okay, to be sure I'm still carrying people along, please type 4 in the chat. Type 4 in the chat. I know I've been speaking a lot, and I said I don't want to take time. Please type 4 in the chat. Type 4 in the chat. Blessing, if you can hear me as well, give me a thumbs up from your end. Thank you so much. Isaac, Divine. Blessing, we have to find gifts for these people. These guys, their energy is high. I really love this. Right? So, what was I? Okay, I was talking about networking. I lost track. Okay. I will be back. Okay.
The ticket.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Nice save there. Okay, so my ticket was basically free. And what did I do? I just went into the guy's DM. I said, I'm one. I said, hi, my name is Christian. I'm a Flutter developer. I am one of the 20 people you are going to be giving tickets. I just told him live and direct. I was very bold. I was not like, so I don't have money. If I wanted to, I would have gotten, right? Highest is to drink Gary. Right? If I wanted to, I would have actually afford the ticket, right? But I just went in there. I said, hey, my name is Christian. I'm a Flutter developer. I am one of the 20 people that are going to be giving tickets to Oscar Fest 2025. And he said, that's fine. I'm going to be sending instructions on how to claim it. Please do not share the code. And that's how I got it, right? Sometimes you need to have, sorry for my French, I'm about to say it, but sometimes you need to have balls, you need to have nerves, you need to have audacity, because the truth is that everybody's trying to do the same thing, right? So you self try to be different, right? Try to do the unconventional, try to be very bold, try to be very gritty, try to be very thirsty, try to be very hungry, right? Of course, be very, very, very calculative and professional in your approach. You saw the way I actually introduced myself. I said, my name is Christian, I'm this, I am one. So then I went in with my open. I said, I am one of the 20 people you are going to be giving free tickets to Oscar Fest 2025. And he just went on from there. I even tried to connect, but I couldn't get him. But my own my objective there was already realized. So as quote and unquote junior devs, you need to show yourself as different, because the world out there does not know you. You need to basically put yourself out there. You basically need to sell yourself, but not sell yourself as substandard or as a junior dev, but sell yourself as somebody that knows what he's doing. You read best practices, you learned something new, you applied it worked or you failed. Document that, learn from it. If you want to share that, you can share it with reason, and make sure that the post is well curated. But make sure that you are always staying hungry, right, and always growing. One other thing that networking helps you to do is to build your communication skills, because when you network, you are forced to communicate. When you build in a team, you are forced to communicate, and that will actually start making you communicate better. I'm telling you that I Blessing knows me personally. I wasn't like this. I wasn't like this 3 years, 4 years ago. I wasn't like this. I'm not the type to talk, right? But the more I communicate, the more I talk. I realize I like talking to people. I like sharing experiences. I like teaching, right? So the more you talk to people, the more you connect. It builds up your soft skills, because you learn empathy by default, because you do not want to say anything that can hurt somebody. You learn how to communicate clearly. You learn how to basically relate with people, right? So these are the things that you need even in the workplace. So make sure that you network. um so one other thing that you need to also what's it called? One other thing you need to also realize is that if you have things that you're actually looking out for, like, oh, you like the way this product was built, if it's open source, I advise you to go in and dig in on the code. Look at other people's code. If somebody is proposing an idea and there's a code sample, please go in and learn from that person, because the truth is that senior devs, quote and unquote, do not have the time to actually mentor junior devs, but you can learn from their works. Go to their GitHub, basically stock their GitHub repository, go line for line, code by code, understand why did this guy take this approach, why did it, was it, and you have AI to basically help you understand, pull the repository if it's available, have AI analyze it for you and say, okay, why did this person take this decision? Learn, right? That's how you learn. You learn from other people's work, right? And one other thing that you are encouraged to do is also join open source projects. Of course, open source projects have different kinds of complexities. They are very small tickets that you can handle, and that will basically grow your confidence until you can handle very large chunks of problems, right? One other thing you may need to do is watch code reviews. I know some people on YouTube, they actually review other people's code or some products code to basically say, oh, this was a good choice, this was a poor choice, right? You basically start learning the systems or the reasons behind decisions that are made, right? And that already sets you apart, because by the time you're having conversations, even in when you're recruiting, you're easily, yeah, when you're explaining your code, you're able to also able to tell us the reason why you took certain decisions, right? And that shows that you know what you're doing, you know your stuff. Um, the very last thing here, because I don't want to take more time. I think I've taken enough time already. Is try not to be carried away. I've already said this before. Try not to be carried away by the media. Be grounded in the basics. If you need to learn, of course, I'm not a very deep person in DSA, right? But if you have to learn DSA, be very, at least be grounded such that you have the boldness to speak about things that you've learned, right? Have that core basics, that okay, what is the core basic or the fundamentals in my own field of study? What are the best practices? What are the things I should do? What are the things I should not do? Clean architecture is one of them. There is a reason why Uncle Bob actually proposed clean architecture. Learn the reason why. Why is it that you need to follow best practices? Why is it that I need to follow clean architecture, right? Once you understand the reason why, it helps you in your decision making, right? You know when to obey clean architecture, because frankly speaking, those things are just guidelines. You don't need to obey everything hook, line, and sinker. You just basically need to be able to structure your code in a way that you can basically add dependencies and remove them without breaking your code, right? So if you're with me, I'm rounding off already. Okay, YouTubers that do code reviews. I know Andrea, I don't know because it's my own stack, right? His name is Andrea. I can't remember. But I'm sure YouTube is
We'll
a
share
global
that in the
space.
community
Yeah, of
later.
course, right? And you can always connect, and you can also Google search, right? Look for code reviews, right? That will actually build you as well, right? So thank you for that question, Funke. Yeah, I saw that, right? So lastly, again, I would reiterate, because this is the thing that even I struggled with, because there's always a new framework, there's a new this, a new that, a new language, a new stack, and everything. But please, people, don't be carried away, right? Learn the core basics, because everything will always go back to the basics. Learn the core basics, learn the best practices that actually guide what it is you're about to do, right? And also experiment, right? Join hackathons. Don't just build on your own and say you are an indie developer, right? Join, build things with people. Try to also follow best practices when you build, because when you follow best practices, you're already building for production, right? Because there's a difference between when you build for yourself. When you build for yourself, you're not bothered about security, you're not bothered about networking, you're not bothered about scalability, because by and large, now only you will still use that product. But when you build with best practices, you're already having scalability built into your code, security built into your code, right? So I just don't want to talk too much, right? I'm sure we'll have more conversations as we join the community and later down the line. So I'll just basically stop here. So if you actually understood everything that I said, please type 5 in the chat, type 5 in the chat. So I know I didn't just speak to myself all through. Yeah, please do 5, just type 5 in the chat. And also questions, right? At this point, I just want to stop talking. All right. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm seeing everything. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Funke. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Omoruge. Thank you, Femi. Thank you, Divine. Right. So please, if you have questions for me, just drop them in the chat. I'll try as much as possible, because I do not have all the answers. But I'll try as much as possible to answer your questions. And of course, if you can't remember any questions now, we are going to be in the community. You can basically DM me and ask me questions later, and then we can just vibe from there. Right. So I'll just stop talking now. Blessing, you can have the baiting. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That was fantastic. I think if you have any question for him, drop it here. How did you keep focused on only one stack? Okay, Christian, can you quickly do respond to that? How did you keep
Okay.
focus on one stack?
All
I'm
right. I
going
hope
to mute
hopefully
myself now.
okay, hopefully you can hear me. So how do I keep focus on only one stack? My dear, you just okay. Um so another thing that has helped me, actually did not include this in my discussion, is always ask questions from people that you can reach, like little above you. Then I have someone that I was getting overwhelmed by, oh, that time Flutter was new and there was still Android native, and I was basically confused and what stack, even what I was learning, right? I wasn't really sure I was doing the right thing. So I basically had to reach out to somebody that was a bit advanced, that had gone through what I had gone through. His name is Muiwa. And Muiwa just said, just pick something and stick with it for now, because you are still building, you're still laying the foundation. So you just have to, even if it's just one thing, just be very, very good at it, right? Pick, and as at that time I was doing Android native, right? And it just said that Android native, make sure you have gone deep in enough in it, because more often than not, any skill you learn in one stack can be transferred to another, because by and large, all of them are just concepts. Once you understand the concept behind an ideology, you can basically transfer that to another stack, right? So make sure it's discipline. Just like I said, if you follow the rule, my point there, don't be carried away. Just follow this thing, understand it, because as it is, there's value in everything that has been produced right here on the face of planet Earth. There's value for JavaScript. There's value for, even if it's only HTML and CSS, there's value for it. I have what's it called? For example, HTML and CSS, your email templates that you see in your, what's it called, in your email, they are built with HTML and CSS for the most part, right? Although I don't really deal in that space, but I've worked with people that all they just need to do is to design the templates in HTML and CSS, or maybe some plugins, and they are good to go. So for everything that you know, there's value for it. If you can find the unique proposition. And I think another thing I was really, really focused about was not the technology, it was about solving a problem, applying it. How can I apply this little Flutter that I know? How can I use it to build something that makes sense? A stopwatch is an application, something that is useful. A calendar is something that is useful. A timetable manager is something that is useful. Even if it's useful for me, right? Be utility oriented, something that will be useful, right? So don't be always bothered about the stack. Even if it's that's all you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, that's enough. You can actually start building utilities. Now, here's what is going to happen with you. By the time you build product one, product two, you're like, I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Then you will need to apply React. Then you will now see the reason why React came on board to actually solve some of all this. Because React is a library that helps you write reusable code, right? So you basically now start seeing the reason why you use React. And let's say you're basically interviewing as a front-end developer, you can actually cite those examples, right? And it shows that you know you are human, you know your stuff, right? So I'll just stop that there so I don't take all the time, right? I hope that answers your question, Omoruge. Okay, yeah, I got that. Thank you, Omoruge. Blessing, you can have the baiting again.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Christian, for that. I don't know if you can. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that. If you have more questions, please, we'll have to probably do that in the community. If you have more questions, I'm not sure if, or you can just drop it here if there's still time. I think we have like 10 more minutes, so we can address it quickly. If you've dropped your question before, can you like copy and paste it so we can see it again and address it, just in case I missed it somewhere at the top? Kindly replace your question if you have asked before and you want to re-ask the same question. Please do that quickly. So I hope you guys have learned a lot today from our speakers. moving from junior level to intermediate or to mid to senior. Well, the gap has to do with your determination and hard work in terms of how well do you want to really sit down and solve problems. Are you ready to solve problems? Are you ready to build a product? Are you too lazy? It's okay, you don't have to do it alone. You can all do it together in the community. So when you're paired with a team, are you going to be dedicated to finish the product? Are you going to do one and run away? That's not what we want here. Because we want you to actually learn how it works in a real setting where you have to work with other people. We have to communicate with people. We have to have a meeting, talk about what you're building, talk about your problems or you're having issues with, fix it together, compile the codes. Things like this are very, very important for you to learn while you're waiting to get that dream job that you want. You're also growing your skill, you're advancing at it. So it's important not to build alone. As our speakers have said, don't do this thing alone. Doing tech alone is, I don't know how you want to survive it though. It's a whole lot. Don't do it alone. Okay, I pasted the link earlier, but I'm going to do that again, just in case you missed it. I'm going to repaste the link to the community because we are starting a junior to senior developers challenge soon. Details will be in the community. In case you have someone also who would like to be part of it, share the link to the person. Let the person join us. Because when we start, this will be like the first step, and it's going to last for 6 weeks where you'll be working on projects. And you're going to be mentored, obviously. You're going to have a mentor supervising everything you're doing, correcting you.
Sorry,
If you have
sorry,
a
Blessing,
bad
can you hear
code,
me?
if you're not doing well, the person will get to actually walk you guys through the project. So you are in the right place. In case you're
Blessing, can
wondering
you
if
hear me?
we are all here to grow. We are all here to grow. We're all here to help each other to actually get to that dream job. Who knows? Maybe the project you work on can be marketable, can be something that investors might be interested in. Who knows? Never can tell, right? Never can tell. The little I want to grow makes you millions. Who knows? Just maybe, just maybe, just maybe. This is just a just maybe situation. So okay, so when it comes to building a project to showcase to an interview an employer, should it be commercialized project or are they mainly interested in your skills and ability? So as someone who has I've been in the both side, the recruiting side and also the development side. What we will look at is it doesn't have to be commercialized actually, or how well is it? Is it functional? Can you walk me through the project? Can you walk me through your steps? If I ask you walk me through this project, I say you work. Oh, I built an e-commerce. Walk me through it. I'm not asking how many users are using it. I'm not even an investor. That's not what I'm here for. I just want to know that I just want to be sure that you are capable of doing what you say you're capable of doing. You're walking me through your code. Okay, I did this. I set up my structure. I'm able to implement this feature like this. I use this library. I use this particular third party API. These are the things we want to see. That the things we want to see you walk us through. So you need to be able to know what you're doing and defend what you did. So it doesn't have to be commercial. No, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't actually. But you just need to know what you're doing in terms of the project you built. Not just, as I said, not just your to-do list. Please, let's step up that. So will there be DevOps projects? Yeah, we are planning on that also. Join the community, you get all the information that you would be needing there actually. So anyone you're interested in will definitely get a mentor. We have a bunch of mentors who are people who are interested, skilled developers, senior developers who are interested in mentoring you. So just for you to make yourself available and get mentored by them. I mean, it's a good thing that you have someone people who are ready to give back to the junior because we know what it's like to be a junior developer over the years. So we don't want people to go through what we went through. So we want you to step up early enough and be at the top also. Once you hear, oh, I just got a job now. I just got a job with Microsoft, Google. I just got a job with an international brand. That's what we want to be hearing. That's the good news we want to hear in the community based on your advancements. So if you have anything that you would like to ask, go ahead and ask it now. Drop it quickly. Apparently, I don't think we can actually network on this particular um tool that we're using, the Zoho tool that we're using right now. But we can do that in the community. So when you get to the community, you can share your LinkedIn, share your details so that people can actually network with you, connect with you in the community because we like to know everybody. Yes, we want to know you, want you to guys to get to know each other because they're going to be working together throughout this phase. And the community is not where you just do put it and run away, please. It's somewhere we want to see you grow, get that dream job, advance your career. In the next 2 years, you're still there growing and also mentoring others that comes after you. That's the reason why we have a community. You want to build product and say, oh, we built this in the community. That is why we are building this community. We're not building it just for fancy. We want to put in the work and we cannot do it alone. We want to do it together. I want us to be able to do it together as individuals. If you have more questions, anyone have more questions, please drop in the chat so that I can address it. So I have someone. Okay, so I just saw your message. It said, okay, maybe ask who has been considered. I recently graduated and I want to get back to watching YouTube, learning, and should I? Okay, so for this part, okay, we have like 2 minutes. So for this part, if it's best for you to go to watch YouTube or I don't know how I have the required skills and confidence. So watching YouTube maybe might help you to refresh your memory, but you already know the foundation, I guess. I'm guessing you know the foundation already in terms of React. So what I would advise is pick a project, simple project, not simple. I'm not talking about base. It could be a simple analytical tool, a tool that checks for metrics or okay, let's say e-commerce. At least that one is like a mid project. Pick an e-commerce project and try to work that from beginning to the end. In terms dashboards, statistics, the one that takes in when somebody takes order, everything has to do with that e-commerce. Take up the project, piece the project into features, build them one at a time. So while building each feature, you get to research on how you should do it. Then you get to learn and then advance. I don't know if you got that. So feature by feature, you're able to advance as you build that project. Before the end of building that project, I'm very sure you'll be good enough. I mean, confident enough as you want to be. So our time is almost up. We have like 1 minute, and I want to say thank you so much for joining. We're going to talk more in the community. We're going to communicate more. And while we start the challenge to get to senior level, participate. And if you have questions, concerns, if you anything is confusing, feel free to drop it in the community. We're going to address all that together. Thank you so much, guys, for coming today. And we'll have to end the webinar now. Have a lovely evening. And bye, guys. Good night.